Okay, gang, this is the first video of what we're going to be doing here today. David, SJ, and myself with the Flock audio. This is the first part of trying to install this thing. So let me just say right up front, I'll try to timestamp stuff below for the YouTube channel. This is going to be a video where this is going to be kind of an install video. It's going to be done with an iPhone like I'm doing right here. We're going to do the behind the scenes, the guerrilla style that you guys are used to. We don't have time because we're on a time crunch here because Dave's only up here for a handful of hours today. We have a lot to try to get accomplished. And so we don't have time to set up cameras and all the proper lighting, although we will have good lighting with lav mics and all of that. This is kind of what you guys are used to if you've been following the channel and you watch us install the SSL over the last couple of years. You know how we kind of do this. We get the iPhone out, we do a kind of guerrilla style behind the scenes. Once we get everything installed, once we get everything working, we will do proper videos for you guys, like an install guide, like little short videos where I'll walk you through on how you install it, how you hook everything up and all that stuff. More proper videos that will help people that are thinking about getting a flock or have a flock, and they'll be those videos will be kind of a supplement to the great videos that they already have on the Flock Audio website. So this is more of the behind the scenes, down and dirty. So right now it is Saturday morning. It is I don't even know what day it is. Today is the 26th of the month, I think, the 25th. It is 7:40 a.m. and I'm waiting for Dave to come up from New York. He'll be here in about 30 minutes. He's been on the road for about an hour. I just came down and turned on the studio. And what we're going to do is really this. So let me kind of take you behind the rack and show you what we're going to do. And again, I apologize for the sound and the lighting right up front here. So basically what we're going to do, here's the Flock XT. By the time you see this video, the unboxing video will already been done. So there's the Flock XT, okay? And what we're going to do is we put it on this table. I bought this rack here. This is bought it from, I think, Sweetwater, on stage, you know, with like 12 spaces in the bottom where you could put gears or shelves or drawers and stuff. And then on the top here, we have a nice big tabletop. And what we're going to do is, for now, as I said in the unboxing video, we are basically, here's the back of our current patch base. Okay, I know it looks like a mess, but here it is. All the switchcrafts, you can see them, all the cables. We're going to start really simple, which is a couple of pieces of gear and the master print track, get it into the Flock. We're going to just unplug, plug. Hopefully the cables are going to be long enough. If not, I have some longer cables if we need them. And we're going to set up a real small setup to see how this thing kind of works. And then we're going to, once we know that everything works, then we'll push this back a little bit. Let me just try to zoom out a little more. There we go. We'll push this back a little bit, and then we will we'll try to do a full, unplug everything and replug it all in here. So that's what we're going to do. So we have a couple of things that we have to be thinking about. Number one is this is a 96 in, 96 out, 192 patch points, okay? But when you talk about, let me come out here, when we talk about all the gear that we need to go into that Flock, we have all this gear. Plus, we have the 48 channels on the SSL. You say, well, where does the 48 come from? It's 32. Let me zoom in a little. I'm using a brand new camera app, by the way, so I apologize if it kind of sucks. You guys know how these behind the scenes videos work. We have 16 faders, that's 32, plus 8 stereo groups that we want to be able to insert gear on, right? So that's 48 channels. We're not going to worry about the short faders and the insert points because the Flock is just not big enough. And to be totally honest with you, I never mix any more than 48 channels. And even though I could put hardware on those short faders, I usually will do whatever processing I'm going to do in the box because all the main players are on the 32 up front. These are usually reserved for things like, sound effects or pads or stuff that maybe I'll use a little EQ and a little compression in the box. I don't need hardware on the short faders right now. So we're just going to do 48. So we, out of the 96 in and out, 48 of those channels are taken up by the console, right? So that leaves us with another 48 channels. And, we go through and count it all. We come up a few channels short with the XT. If I wanted to put all this gear in here, which does not include what's going to be going up in here, which is the Fair Comp by Audioscape, which is another 4 channels, 2 in and 2 out for the stereo Fairchild. So a couple of things we decided to do right up front as Dave and I were talking through this. For the master bus, oh, and by the way, you can also hook up a traditional patch bay to the flock, and we're going to have to hook up one of these patch bays for our master print track and our insert point, and we'll talk more about why we're doing that. It's so we don't have to lose another D sub or a whole 8 channels on the flock. We're going to use it on the regular patch bay for now. Again, down the road, if we keep the XT and we integrate it into the studio, like I said in the unboxing video, the only way this system really works is I need the XT, plus I'm going to need one of the 32 or the 16 channel versions, a smaller flock, and daisy chain them together. But that's for another, that's not for a while. Anyway, we have these patch bays, we may as well utilize them. So we're gonna figure out how we can hook up the switchcraft just so we can get the master insert point, 2-bus insert point, and the print track back in and out into the DAW. So what that means is, what we're going to do today, at least we're going to try, is the master bus processing is probably going to be hardwired on that patch bay, meaning we're not going to put the master bus hardware into the flock, because if we do that, we run out of I/O. And I want to be able to put as much of this gear, and I think I could put it all in there if I don't do the master bus. The master bus typically doesn't change for me. Would it be nice to be able to audition different master bus compressors and all of that, and master bus EQs? Yes. And one day we'll get to that if I get a larger flock system. But for now, my master bus pretty much stays the same. And this is what it consists of. It's going to consist of the Bus Plus by SSL. This is a brand new unit. Unboxing video's already been done. Review videos will be coming. We're not going to be using the console compressor. We're going to be using the Bus Plus. This piece of gear is not going to go into the flock, right? That's 2 channels we're going to save, stereo. Then our EQ is going to be the Empress by GainLab Audio. That's my master bus EQ. That typically doesn't change. Sometimes I'll put the Stam Pultec, but for now we're just going to hardwire this. And then we go to the Neve master bus transformer. That never comes off the master bus. So we have 2, 4, 6 channels that we can save. On the 96 IO, we have 6 channels of that we're going to be able to save, because we're going to hardwire these together and we're going to come off the patch bay. So we don't have to go into the flock and lose those 6 channels of IO. That should give us enough channels, if my math is right, to put all the other gear into the flock and be able to audition and AB and all that stuff. And you can see all of that here. Okay, these patch bays are going to stay right where they are. We're not taking them out. As I said in the unboxing video, they're going to stay where we are until we've run this flock for several months to know that this thing is stable and all the stuff I said in the unboxing video. So for now, we're just going to leave them there. We're going to use the top one, or at least we're going to try. And then the rest of the gear is going to be put into the flock. Hopefully we have enough space. Oh, the other thing that's going to go on the master bus, I'm sorry, is probably the Mammoth, the low frequency shaper. This really can go on the master bus. I was putting it on the drum bus, but because you can control the frequency, we could put this on the master bus and it will be just fine. So the master bus is going to save another 2 channels. We'll have 8 channels. So we're going to go from the Mammoth, that's going to be first in the chain, to the 2-bus plus, or the Bus Plus. I call it the 2-bus plus. The Bus Plus, that's the wrong name. It should be called the 2-bus plus. That's what I would have called it. Anyway, we're going to go to that, Mammoth to that, to the Empress, to the Neve. So that's going to free up 8 channels of audio. We also will probably, and we'll talk about this a little bit later if it happens, we'll probably also rearrange some of the gear in the racks. At least the master bus, I might put all the master bus gear together somehow so it's all in one area. I don't know, we'll talk about that later. So that's what we're doing today, okay? So I'm a little nervous because the studio runs perfectly now. I hope this damn flock works the way I think it's going to. I'm confident in Darren's product. I think it's gonna be great. So there it is, it's right on the table. We're gonna pull the cables, we're gonna put it in there, and we're gonna try it. And that's it. So I think Dave's here. I'm getting a notification. I'll see you guys. Hey there, friend. I hope you're loving the video. Guess what? We're now in 2025 and I have some super exciting news to share with you. I'm officially accepting new clients for mixing and I'm on the lookout for talented artists just like you. head on over to mixingmusicanalog.com. The link will be in the description box below to check out some of my latest work. Once you've had a look around, shoot me an email and let's schedule a Zoom call to chat about your music and how we could take it to the next level. Now let's get back to the video. Okay, so we're part down. You have selfie stick. We're part down, part two here on our little behind the scenes here. Dave is finally here.
Hi.
Come on over and say hi, Dave, to everyone. Hi, hey, Dave, guys. Everyone.
Hi.
So Dave's up helping again. And so we've determined what we're going to do here on, I'll flip the camera for the master bus. And we could talk them through what we're going to do here. So what we decided to do was, because we're limited on the flock as far as the I/O, and we just have enough space to do all of this.
Yeah.
We decided
literally
just now. We decided that we are going to hardwire the master bus with gear that's not going to go into the flock for now, because we're not going to swap it around. And that'll give us enough spaces, that'll free up enough channels, if you will, to be able to get the rest of the gear into the flock, right?
Yeah, well, the reason it's becoming an issue is, and I've been complaining about this since the day we got the SSL.
Mm-hmm.
It's because they have the master insert and the master out on the same DB25 connector.
That's right. Yep.
So everything you do with the master section is limited by the fact that you can't change the order of anything. That's locked.
Right.
Okay? So to send the master insert into the flock, we're giving up 2 connectors.
Correct.
Of the flock, just to have 2 channels of I/O for the master bus to be able to switch the master bus in and out.
Right, and then we don't have enough. Then we fall a little short to get the rest of the gear in.
And we still give up another one to get the master output out.
Right, because you got to go back out.
You got to go back out
and print.
Yeah.
Right.
So what we basically decided is we're gonna lock the master bus.
Right.
We're like David's like, which pieces are on the master bus, because they are not going to be in the flock. They are not going to be patchable. They're going to be locked.
They're going to be locked for now, which is okay.
Yeah. So what we decided is we're going to take the Mammoth.
Yep. So the Mammoth's going to be on the first thing in the master bus chain.
Do they know about the Bus Plus yet?
By the time they see this, they will.
Okay. So yeah. Well, they know about it now.
Right.
So we're going to take the Mammoth.
We're
going to run that into the Bus Plus. We're going to run that into the Empress EQ. Then we're going to run that in the MBT.
The Neve.
And then we're going to patch that stack into this Patchbay here. And we're just going to jumper the master bus to that in and out, so that we're coming out of the board to the Patchbay, to the hardware, back to the board, not in the flock at all. So that is completely locked. It cannot be repatched.
Can't be repatched. And not only we're going to do that, we're going to together. So you're only going to take, it's only going to be 2 points on the switchcraft, because we're going to actually hardwire, if you will, the order. So you won't even be able to rearrange the order of the equipment in the master bus for now, which is totally fine, because we don't typically do that anyhow.
And this is also going to necessitate us doing a quick reconfiguration,
right?
We're gonna take the decomp and the warm audio out of this rack. We're gonna put the Mammoth and the Bus Plus up here, and we're gonna shove something else up there too, because we have to. And then we're just gonna chain those together and then put it back into here.
Right.
So that way, but we want them close together anyway, because that's your master bus.
Right.
You know, and so like that goes here, and then we're probably going to take the 5500 and put that
probably, because the RSC Verimue gets very hot, and even though I do have space above it, but it would be nice to have nothing above it and move so we have a space open up here now.
Yep.
So we're going to move the API 5500 up there, even though it's not part of the master bus, but it'll be up there.
So then one of these is going to go over there.
Yeah.
One of these is going to go where the Bus Plus is.
Right.
And this will just jump up there, and everything will be happy.
Everything will be good, and that'll be our master bus. And then
we have to flip these over.
Yeah, and then that'll give us just enough, because we counted it. Yeah. Just enough 40 channels of audio, which is everything else.
Yep.
Except for, which I hardwired yesterday, the Audioscape Reverb, the XL305, that was always in the Patchbay, which is kind of silly. So what we did was we hardwired that directly to the console, because that comes in on the stereo things and it never changes. So
Yeah.
there's no reason to even go into the patch bay. That's always going to be hardwired. So I swapped out the DB25 cables yesterday. I pulled the console, so that part is done. So by doing everything that we have here, we should be able to get every single piece of gear that we want to flip around, with the exception of the master bus, into that flock audio.
Right.
That's the goal.
So the only thing we had to leave out, because we've got 42 channels. You're going to eliminate the de-essers
For now, right, because
now.
we're 2 channels short. So for now, we're not going to use the hardware de-essers. I'll just stick with the plugins for now.
Yeah.
Again, we even talked about it down the road. If this system works, ultimately what's got to happen is we're going to have an XT plus one of their smaller units to make a little bit of a bigger system. If you want to have full flexibility where you put all the master bus stuff into the flock, the de-essers and any other gear that might come through here at one time.
You're going to need at least another 16 channels to get all of that done.
Right, and I would probably get their 32 and 32 out, but that's all for down the road. So this is like version 1.0 of what we're trying to do. But this may change later on.
This, I'll be honest with you, this actually feels like day one of wiring the board.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it really does.
It does.
It feels like we went all the way back to day one, and we're just thinking about signal flow again.
Right.
You know.
So our first goal here is we're going to pull some of the gear. We're going to rejigger it in the rack to get the master bus the way we talked about. Patch it all together, get it into the patch bay, and then we'll start worrying about the flock.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, cool. We'll see you guys in a bit. Okay, little update here, fellas. So
David's losing his mind.
Dave's in the back losing his mind. We'll show you. We'll show you how that looks in a second. So we reconfigured the positioning of some of the gear. Let me show you. Let me flip the camera here. Okay, so we have now moved everything that we said we were going to move to the master bus. So our master bus is going to go from here to there. It's going to be hard patched. It's not going to be part of the flock. We talked about that in the last section, with the exception of the API. That we had an extra space, so I moved that from here to up there. So aside from the API, the master bus is going to go Mammoth into the Bus Plus, into the Empress, into the Neve. Hardwired. This piece of gear will be hardwired to this piece of gear, will be hardwired to this piece of gear, will be hardwired to this piece of gear. That's the master bus. And then we moved down here. We put the warm audio and the GainLab audio governor, right? And then over here where the Mammoth was, we put the RSC Verimu. And this is probably better that it's all by itself because this gets super hot. And so to have complete ventilation is perfect for that. We moved the decomp over to where the 2-bus was. And I think that's it. I think everything else stays the same as far as positioning goes. So here is, let me zoom out a little. There is the racks. Okay, there we are. Okay, let me zoom back in. Now, Dave's back here and he is
losing his mind
of rewiring. So we thought, well, we are still doing kind of what we thought, where basically what he's doing is we pulled the breakout cables from all the gear because it was just too much of a rat's nest for Dave to kind of go through and figure out what's here, what's there. And he's pulling some of the cables from the Switchcraft patch bays that we originally said that we were not going to do, but because if you remember my last install extravaganza last year.
Yeah, that he did by himself.
That you'll know that I labeled every single cable and where it goes into these patch bays. So we're going to leave the labels on there. So if we have to hardwire back because something in the flock doesn't work, we can theoretically do that, right, Dave? I mean, it'll be a little bit of work, but we can do it.
It's going to be work.
We could go back. Now, when we first set up the flock, we're only going to set up one bucket. We said we're going to take
one set of channels out of the board.
Yeah, one set. You're right.
And see how
it works. And then once we get to that point, if it works, we'll show that to you. We'll update you, and then we will come back and put the whole thing into the flock. But we want to make sure the software works. We want to make sure all this stuff works before we try to make a full-on commitment. So there we go. So there's the rack. There is your update. For now, we'll come back in a little while and I'll show you where we're at.
Did you show the back?
No, I'm going to show the back right now. We're back. So we're going to get to the flock. I promise you. we got the master bus hooked up. So we tried it. We got everything running. So if I were to, and I'll turn down the volume, you don't
No, turn it up. Blow our ears out.
Well, the record that I mixed wasn't released yet.
Oh,
so let me flip the camera. Yeah. All right, so now we have the master bus. We have the master inserts right here on the origin. Yeah. And now it's going, you can see the audio's playing back.
The Mammoth.
We're going through the Mammoth. We're going into the Bus Plus. We're going into the EQ. We're going into the master bus transformer. So all that works. So we are hardwired to the console, the master bus. Now, we also got to check, are we going to get a print track? Yes, we are. I got it right here. Print track. Yeah. Right there, see?
We got a print track.
So there's our print.
Yeah.
It's a little out of balance, but who knows why that is yet. But
well, this thing is all screwed up.
Yeah, we didn't set the compressor.
This is all screwed up.
So we got a print track coming in, so that's all working.
So what we did, though, what we did is the only thing we changed as far as the master bus is concerned is instead of having these insert patches go down here into your hardware on that one, it's over here now.
Right.
So this is all this whole first half of this patch bay is now just dedicated to just the master bus.
Right, because these will all going to go away. These other patch bays.
We're not going to need them.
So this will always stay patched. It never gets changed. That is the master bus back into the print track.
This also simplified it. The whole reason we have to do this is, and we complain about it, is SSL has that this is the print track. This is the master output.
Right.
It's in the same DB25 as this insert point, which it should not be. This should be its own. This should be its own thing. So you have to get this out somehow. And if we had run this through the flock, we would have given up
two connectors, two buckets.
Connectors just to get this out,
which is 16 channels, 8 and 8.
It's 16 channels.
Then we wouldn't have enough to put all the gear
just to get this out.
Right.
And I'm like, it's such a waste of resources that way. So it's like. So doing it this way, and like I said, and these are hardwired together. I literally have them jump to jump to jump to jump.
Yeah, I'm going to show them that in a minute.
Yeah.
So the only way, for people that may be confused on what we just said, the only way that you didn't have to, the only reason why it's like this, it's not only because the SSL is a DB25, but the switchcrafts are all DB25.
All DB25.
If the switchcraft, or if you have a patch bay that was XLR or quarter-inch,
you could just
then you can use a breakout cable.
Yeah, or even not even use a breakout cable. You just come out to the stuff and then back into it.
Right.
Straight up.
So because it's D-sub, it's on 8 channels. So if you're only using 4 of those channels, the other 4 you can't use.
Yeah. So if you look back here.
So that's done. So now if you look what we did here with the master bus.
So these are the 2 DB25 cables now that are running the master bus, and we're only using 2 channels left and right in each one of these.
Right.
So it's like the DB25. This is coming from the patch bay into the Mammoth,
into the gear.
So the Mammoth's jumping. The Mammoth is jumped to the Bus Plus. The Bus Plus is jumped to the Empress, and then the Empress is jumped to the MBT.
Right.
And then the other DB25 cable, channel 1 and 2, is plugged into the MBT and running to the output side of the patch bay over here
to get it back.
So this is the whole master bus just locked all together.
Locked.
It's locked. We can't. To repatch this means to take it all apart.
So that means that these extra.
We've got 6 extra.
You got 6 extra channels that because you really can't use.
Times 2.
Right.
Yeah. You can't use them on anything else.
Right. Well, it's 6 female, 6 male. Yeah. So it's really 3 pieces of stereo gear or 6 pieces of mono gear. Yeah. That you could hook up to these, but you can't.
But you can't. We can't use them on any.
So they're just going to be cable tied, and they're going to sit in the back.
It's a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice.
But that is all necessitated because of the way they designed that circuit in off of the.
And even if we had a second flock, so we don't have to use this patch bay at all, we're still in the same problem.
You're still giving up.
Why?
Connectors.
Why, audience? Do you know why? I just said why. Because the flock is all DB25 connectors, just like the switchcraft.
Right.
So therefore, it's not DB25 XLR where you can just take a breakout cable, use the channels that you need, and then you have those 6 free channels you could use for something else.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
No. So we sacrifice 6 channels of a breakout cable. Just for this insert.
Just for the insert. But it is what it is.
But like I said, that's the one limitation of the way they designed this console. And if we ever get a chance to talk to SSL about Origin Mark II.
Yeah, they are. They're coming here. Rick's coming here.
That's one of the changes I'm asking.
Yeah. But you would still have even if you did that on the origin, unless wherever it's going to, like the switch craft, if that's still DB25, you're still in the same problem, are you not?
You are, but maybe you could combine other things into it too.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
So that's
the whole thing is, give me, honest to God, just give me a pair of XLR outputs of the master bus that we can send to an interface, and it saves this whole problem.
Right, because you only need left-right. You only need 2. You don't need to use 8 channels to get 2 out of it.
We're giving up an 8-channel bucket for these 2 channels to come out and go to the to the interface.
Yeah, right.
So
So it is what it is. So what's the next? So the next step now is we're going to try to get the flock hooked up. That's going to be next. We're going to try to get the flock hooked up, at least with a couple of the channels, and we're going to see if we can get the software hooked up and get things registered and all the stuff we need to do. So we will be back when and if that ever happens.
Everybody cross
See
your
you
fingers.
soon. Okay, so we win. We have victory here. So we got this to work. It took us a little bit.
It's a little technical.
Yeah, it's
for us
a little bit. But now that we did it, now you go, oh yeah, it makes
now it works.
Sense.
Yeah, now that I figured that out.
It makes total sense. So what we ended up doing is we ended up taking the first 8 channels. Let me flip the camera around.
Yeah. So we took the first 8 insert points.
Let's just get set away.
From the board.
Right. So we took the first 8 insert points, 1 DB25, the first bucket of 8.
Yeah.
Insert, send and return from the console. That's what we hooked up to the flock.
Put that in the flock.
Which is over here. So we got the wires hooked up to the flock. It's going to be right here. So we have these are the first, these are the input side, and then these are the output side. So we have the send or insert send coming out of the console to the input of the flock, and then the return is the output, right? It's this one right here, I think. It's the output, goes back to the console. That's what makes the insert, send, and return loop. Then for test purposes, we only took a handful of gear, 1 DB 25 connector worth of gear, 8 pieces of gear.
It's 16 channels.
16 channels worth. So we worked backwards. We worked on channels 90 through 96, the inputs, 90 through 96, the outputs. And that gear is right here. That gear is
all of this.
The distressors. We didn't test the decomp.
We can. The distressors, the decomp, DBX,
the DBX, and the whole 500 series rack. That's what we started with to make sure that we can get the signal to work. Then in the app, which who knows if they're going to be able to really see this.
Probably not.
Well, we're working on getting the resolution of the app so we can see it bigger on the screen. But basically what you have to do,
type all that in.
Is so you'll see up there, you got hardware on the left-hand side. And on the left-hand side, it will say unassigned. You have to go into each one and manually type what it is. So the first one is SSL insert 1, meaning channel 1, SSL insert 2, channel 2, so on and so forth. We did that all the way down through 8 because we only did the first 8 buckets. So all of our inserts, and you'll see they're doubled. Insert 1, insert 1. There's 2 of them, insert 2, insert 2. And what we figured out was, the reason what that was is because in the path, when you set up a path, you start off with an output.
Yeah.
Right? So you insert out your gear, but then you have to make insert in.
Yeah.
So the top of the path has to have the insert, and the bottom of the path has to have the insert. And in between is all the hardware. That's what makes the loop. And that's what kind of confused us at first. So,
well, on a setting in the app,
that'll show you how to do that.
Carefully explained.
Right. Dave figured it out finally. So if you look at path number 1, just as an experiment, we have SSL insert 1. That's channel 1. Ran it to the E-Series dynamic in the 500 rack. Then we ran it to the dione in the 500 rack. Then we ran it to a CAPI EQ. And then you'll see the last section for path 1 is SSL insert 1. So you have the output and the input, which we should probably change the name. We can go in and change the name. We could say SSL 1, insert 1 out, in.
Yes.
So you can, so you have, that's what closes the loop. And when you do that, will close the loop. And if you play back the audio,
you'll hear it.
So we have it, we just have it on a,
well, that's,
on a ride cymbal.
Got the kick running.
Right. So you have the kick drum running. So if we turn the rounds, you'll see that we're going to the SSL dynamic, then it's going to the dione, then it's going
to CAPI 1.
It's going to CAPI 1, and if we turn CAPI 1, we've already tested it. You'll hear it. We hear that it works. So those three things are happening now. So now we know that it works, right?
Yeah. So get it back up on the screen for a second.
Get on the screen.
So now, say you wanted to change from the CAPI to something else.
Right.
Scroll down to your hardware.
Scroll down.
All you have to do is let's take this SSL 551 EQ.
Mm-hmm.
Drop
it over the CAPI.
Right on top of the CAPI. And now the Neve is working and not the CAPI.
Now the Neve is working and not the CAPI. So now if we turn up this, you may not hear it over the iPhone video, but trust us.
Yep, it got really bassy.
Got really bassy, really thin. So it does work as advertised, as then that all you do is take your gear from the list and you can just replace the gear and just audition that easily. And if you hit Command Z on the keyboard, I believe what will happen is it will take the Neve 551 out and it'll put the CAPI back.
Let me see.
Try it.
Command Z?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure does.
undo. Sure did.
So you can use your keyboard to
audition two pieces of hardware at the same time.
You can use the keyboard to undo the patch that you just made. So you don't need to, drag and drop and then go, oh, let me try it again, drag and drop, let me try it again, drag and drop. You can just do it once, do it twice, and then do Command Z. And that's just, we didn't hear a single hiccup in the audio.
No, there was no glitch.
It switches seamlessly.
No glitch.
Seamlessly.
Amazing.
So now we got it. So now our goal is we're going to now hook up the entire console.
Yes.
And we're going to hook up all the gear. We're going to go for it now that we know that it works.
We're going to dive in.
We're going to dive in and see that it works. How well this? Well, we're going to probably shut down the app, reboot the app. I want to try that a couple of times to make sure everything connects and whatnot.
Yeah.
But we think we got it.
I think we got it.
We'll come back later and show you what we did. Okay, gang, we're back for an update. So we had some lunch, had some good pizza, and Dave and I were chatting and we're making a decision. So if you remember somewhere early on in this video and in the unboxing video, I had said, we're not taking out the Switchcraft patch bays, man. We're going to hook this thing up behind the racks on a table, which you saw earlier, which we did. And we're going to run this thing for a while, a couple of months before we decide to permanently install it, because if something goes down, we thought, okay, we'll just unplug everything from the flock and plug it back into the Switchcrafts and we'll be back up and running. Well, after we've started doing all the rewiring and whatnot, we realized that if that were to happen, in order to do that, it would be such a pain to rewire this thing. It's a complete rewire anyway, right, Dave?
Flip the camera.
Flip the camera, hold on. Yes, there you go, Dave. There it is.
It's going in the rack.
So it's going in the rack. So we decided that, will the cable hangers fit?
Yes.
So there you go. Flock audio fits right where the other three Switchcrafts fit. And we got to leave this one up here because we talked about that earlier, the master bus. And then this is really cool. I love this. So we have
right in the front.
We have a pair, and this is great for when we bring in gear to demo.
Yeah.
Where we were kind of rigging it up before. Now we just take a pair of XLRs, bring it right out over here to our demo table, and we're ready to go.
For real.
Which is really good. Yeah. So the reason why we decided to do this, yes, the flock seems to be working really well on our first initial test, but when you put it back here on this table, the cables, some of the cables do reach, most of the cables reach.
Yeah, but they're literally hanging.
Literally hanging, and you can't get in here to do anything else if you needed to. But more importantly, my original thought was, okay, the flock is going to get mounted in this rack somewhere, and we're going to wheel this back here. But then what has to happen is almost all of the breakout cables on the gear are going to be too short, and they're all going to have to be replaced. Which is expensive as all hell. So I said, well, wait a minute. What if we didn't do that and we just put the flock right where the other patch bays were? Yes, it keeps us from being able to add more gear to these racks because now we're filling it back up again. But to be totally honest, if we buy any more than a couple more pieces of gear, we run out of IO. The way we have this set up right now, we're almost sure, all the gear is going to go right into the XT, and we have plenty of room, and we may have a couple of channels left over to spare.
A few.
for a demo piece of gear, for, hey, if, you know, when the Fairchild comes in, the Fair Comp from Audioscape. But beyond that, we don't have any more I/O available on the XT to add more equipment, which is a good thing, because as we've been talking about on this channel now for months and in live streams, we don't need more equipment. We don't need more choices. If something comes in, something has to leave, with the exception of a demo unit that we would do right off the front of the flock. So we decided that going back to the Switchcrafts, even if we had to, is such a complete rewire that it's not as easy as just unplugging the flock and plugging it into the Switchcrafts the way I thought. So we said, you know what, if that's the case, before Dave kind of jury rigs this whole thing up on this table,
which I was getting ready to do,
which he was about to do, I said, hey Dave, what if we just say, let's just make the change. So let's put the flock in, we'll take the Switchcrafts out, we'll put the flock in there. We're not going to sell the Switchcrafts. We're going to hold on to them just in case this whole thing doesn't work out at one point. We'd have to do a complete rewire anyway, as I just said, and we would just take the flock out, put the Switchcrafts back in, rewire everything, and we'd be back up and running in a day. So that's what we're doing. So we decided, we made an executive decision, and we decided that, you know what? We're just going to freaking go for it, and we're just going to hope that this thing really works. We know it works. We tried it. You saw it. It works, and it works remarkably well. I mean, it's
ridiculous.
If it's stable,
yep,
then this thing is killer.
Yep.
It's a game changer.
So it is a game changer, and we don't use that word lightly around here. But we're not selling the Switchcrafts. We can go back. It's a day's worth of work to go back, but it can be done.
Yep.
Fairly easily, just time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going for it. We're putting the flock in there, and we're just gonna do it, and we're gonna hope to God that this thing really stays stable. And tomorrow I go to turn it on, and the thing actually works.
Yep.
So we'll stay tuned, and we'll come back when it's all hooked up. And we also then want to test, because I know people are going to ask Dave about the fan noise.
Yeah.
We have the fan set to the low setting right now, and Dave said back, he's standing right next, can't even hear it.
Can't hear it.
So we're going to turn the fan on the different settings, and maybe we'll put the iPhone up against it so you can hear it, because people have been concerned about the fan noise. But it is far enough away, as you guys can see, it's far enough away from the desk, from the console, that it's not going to be an issue. I suppose if you had the fan on the high setting and you had a desk where you had an interface, right, you had the flock right where you were kind of sitting next to you somehow, that could be a problem. Or if you were a tracking studio and you were tracking real delicate acoustic guitars or something, maybe the fan noise would be an issue. But so far it doesn't seem to be. So Dave's going to screw that back in. We're going to keep working, and we'll update you when we're done. Okay, so we're done. We're done.
Works.
So I'm going to show you the front, but the one thing I wanted to show you at the end of this video, one of the things that people complain about, at least I've heard, the only complaint I've ever really heard about the flock is that it's loud.
Fan.
It's a noisy fan. We have the fan in the app on the highest setting, and I'm standing here behind the rack. I'm going to shut off my air purifier, which is actually louder than that fan. I'm going to close this back door so you can't even hear anything that's going on in the back. It's dead silent in this room. Right, Dave? Dead silent.
Can't hear it.
Okay, I'm going to put this iPhone right next to the back of the flock, and you're going to hear how loud this is. Here we go. So let me turn the camera around. I'll show you. Here is the flock, all in its glory, all hooked up into the racks with the cable manager. There's the fan. So here we go. Ready? When I tell you you can't hear that, you can't hear that. You can barely, I mean, if I'm standing right next to it, yeah, you can hear it a tiny bit, but I actually got to stop and listen for it. Now, again, that's on the highest setting running on continuous. In the app, you can turn it on to what's called emergency only, meaning if it overheats enough, it'll kick on, or you can keep it on low continuous, or you can shut it off, which I wouldn't do, or you can keep it on medium or high continuous. We're at the highest setting. That's not loud at all. So for everyone that's complaining about, oh my God, the app or the flock, the fans are loud, the fans are loud. Now I will say, if you had that sitting right next to you as in an audio interface, like at your desk, and you were trying to record an acoustic guitar with a microphone, and the microphone was you know,
2 feet, 3 feet
3
away.
feet away from the flock, could that fan noise get picked up?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure it could.
A good condenser mic will pick that up.
Yeah, if it's back there. But
yeah.
when I'm just sitting out here, I'm sitting at the console, right?
You're 6 feet away from
I'm 6 feet away from that unit.
You can't even hear it.
No.
Honestly, what I'm hearing right now, your furnace is running. Two rooms over.
2 rooms over.
Your furnace is running 2 rooms over. I can hear that.
You could barely hear that.
I can't hear the fan that's 6 feet away from me.
You can't hear that fan. I guess I could put a decibel meter on it, but I'm telling you that it's so unbelievably low. So the fan is a non-issue, at least for what we're doing. It's on its highest setting, running continuous. Now, we've had this thing on what, 2 hours?
Oh God, no longer. This thing's been on
2-3 hours.
Yeah, at least.
So maybe if it
runs
runs longer, it'll get hotter. Maybe the fan will be louder. I don't know. But let me just show you. I'll flip the camera. So here's where we ended up. So the flock is in the patch bays for the reasons why we talked about before. Here's our master bus. It's completely locked in. These things will never move. We tested every piece of gear as you saw with the software, and it all works. It all works. There were no problems really at all. It was pretty straightforward. We had to look at the manual a little bit, right? But outside from that, we figured it out. It is pretty self-explanatory. So it is a very intuitive system.
Yes.
So now the next thing is for me to just do a few mixes on it and work with it a bit and show you, and then, do some more videos with it and such. So anyhow, there it is. There's our rack.
It's done.
There's our flock. Thank you to Darren over at Flock. We're going to be excited to work with this thing and to continue to test it.
Yeah.
And we will continue to report back and let you know what we find. Thank you, Cousin Dave, for helping.
You're very welcome.
Dave did a lot of the hard work, most of the hard work. He did all the cabling and I did all the writing and all the app work.
Yeah.
So thanks very much, Dave. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome, man.
And we will see you guys in the next video.
Yes, indeed.